So weirdly enough, this is the strangest coincidence ever. I was just on vacation with my father-in-law, and he's the only person I know who still clips coupons. And we actually used them when we were on the trip to get like a shrimp cocktail at one point. And I was wondering, for each of you, is there still somebody in your life that you know that clips coupons, or do you do that? It's a lost art form, like the way it sounds when you're clipping it with the scissors. I'm just wondering, for each of you, do you know somebody, or do you still do it?
I always look for a good coupon. I like a discount, though I have made a commitment because of my savings account. I will never use a coupon at a small business because I think that those should be used on big businesses. My grandmother was actually an extreme couponer, like a real one, and she taught me a lot. And the whole perimeter of her basement was cardboard boxes, well organized. Our entire family was responsible for sending the UPCs and the barcodes into her. And when she got 50 or 100, she'd send it into the detergent company and say, look what a great customer I am. And they'd send her back $5. And with all those tiny checks, she started all 5 grandkids' college funds.
Okay, what an amazing story.
Well,
Wow.
I was touching on this earlier. It is an art form,
and
it is like form. They are mathematicians.
Like, I'm hearing that your father-in-law does this, and I'm like, it just opened up a new world. I'm like, wait, on holiday, like on vacation, he had like the wherewithal to bring these coupons because he like it is such a. I mean, so you talk about it being like a dying art. I was not ever privy to it. We don't really have that or do that in the UK. So there are also things that are like so culturally specific. I think that's very specific to an American culture, but it's so devastatingly undervalued that the people who do it are doing like advanced math essentially to figure this all out. They're also like organized. That I think anyone I know, because my boyfriend's family, his mum and his sister and his aunt did it. Anyone I know who is related to someone who did it is actually better at money than people that like somehow they're better at money, even if it's just a relative. Like my grandma did it. You somehow have, from a young age, you have this awareness of like saving and being fiscally responsible. Like genuinely, everyone I know who is related to someone who coupon is better at money than like I am or anyone else is.
Yeah, like what Kristen says, you say in the movie, once you win once, you want to keep winning and winning and winning. This is something interesting because you both were on The Good Place, and I find this really cool in terms of like what that show says about, because people are people, we're layered people, we all have flaws, and that's the beauty, kind of like exploring that. I was curious for each of you, would you think your characters in this film would end up in The Good Place? I'm sure you've probably been asked a question like that before, but because of the moral ambiguity of the things they're doing, where do you think they would end up if that was to be a choice for their characters?
They're going to the good place.
Yeah, I think
you don't go to the bad place for messing with a corporation. You go to other humans poorly.
Yeah, and also they were not only, they were breaking the rules, sure, but they were helping people as well. They were helping themselves. They were leading by example, and they were also helping people who needed coupons get more of them. Yeah. So I think there's no way they're in the bad place.
This is a real quick thing, but like the other day I went to the store and I didn't realize that baby formula is locked away in a cabinet like liquor. Like,
oh wow,
steal it a lot because people are trying to provide for their families. Like, so they're in the good place for sure.
Yeah.
But there's one stuff you can do. I have friends who go and they'll go to the baby aisle, even though the formula is locked up. They'll go to like the diaper boxes or the baby wash, and they'll pop in $100.
I've seen
in the
this.
boxes.
Yes,
it's awesome.
That's awesome.
Last quick question for you. My wife and I were just talking about this upstairs. Kristen, you're an amazing narrator. You always have been. And my wife was like, she's such a great narrator on Gossip Girl, and you're amazing. Obviously, the narration you're doing here. How do you separate in terms of when you narrate something, because it's just your voice? How do you differentiate that? Because you don't want people to hear your Gossip Girl character. You want them to hear a different character. I wonder how you differentiate that as a performer.
It's really hard to articulate, and it's mostly a feeling. If I can feel completely in the story, about the story, and like just overwhelmed with the story, then what comes out of my mouth is often useful. But yeah, there's definitely, I am so stimulated by narration and voiceover work in general because I really like the challenge of having one tool to tell the story. Like in this movie, I could go like this if I were fatigued, and you would get it. But to show fatigue, to play fatigue in just your voice, like you have to like operate your breathing correctly. You have to make like glottal noises. You have to have the tempo of your voice be specific. You have all these other, you can't interact with your space. So I love it so much because it's such a challenge. And yeah, I don't really know how I do it. I take on one specific emotion, I guess. Like in Gossip Girl, it's snark and judgment. And in this one, it's feeling undervalued, but having this rippling power underneath where like, I'm about to show you something. You may have looked past me. So I don't really know how to articulate it other than I take on one feeling and then just talk.
I think that's it.
Wow.
That's
Well,
that's how someone's acting, I feel like. It's
so that's
not
amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that answer. It was a pleasure talking to both of you. You were both awesome to talk to. Thank you for the interview. Hope you're staying safe. Congratulations on the film.
Thank you.
Nice to see you both.